So I'm Eric Kenny, and I'm here with Dirk Friel, owner of Training Peaks. Co-owner.
I don't own the entire thing, but co-founder.
Co-founder, right, of Training Peaks. And this is one of our interviews on success, what it takes to be very successful in sports and in business, and we're going to kind of merge the two this time. And so thanks a lot for taking the time to meet with me. I know you guys have been super busy lately. And kind of jumping right into this from the beginning, what drove you to do this? What drove you to start Training Peaks? How did that idea first come about?
That's easy. It was just an absolute need that I had. So I was a professional cyclist, realized I need to figure out something else to do with my life, someday. So the family business was coaching. So my father, Joe Friel, was coaching. Started coaching with my father, and I quickly realized that the tools of the trade back in 1999 were email attachments, Excel spreadsheets, and literally the fax machine. I'd come into the home office and there'd be paper stacked up below the desk, and that's your client's training logs coming in for the day. Mm-hmm. So I was like, Dad, there's got to be a better way to do this. We need one consolidated system that can aggregate all the data, and I knew a web-based system would be the way to go. It was the .com era, the late 90s, so I just had this vision of a web-based platform where we could track, analyze, and plan all aspects of our clients' training programs. Mm-hmm. So it was just an absolute need that I had as a coach, and I just had to kind of figure out a way to make it happen.
Right. Excellent. And I started using Training Peaks back in the early 2000s, and it's grown a lot. And recently, you guys just moved in this new office here, which is really big. You have a lot more developers in here. Was there a point where you had it up and running, and I remember those early 2000 days where you said, and it worked great. Was there a point where you said, this has to be way better, this has to be way bigger? How did that?
Yeah, well, we saw opportunity. We saw that we wanted to develop, a new platform from the original classic mode, if you will, our first generation. But we needed some operating capital to kind of like get to that next stage. And so luckily we had a customer of ours that had been reaching out to us that really wanted to get involved. And we really saw the opportunity to team up with his, business sense, some more capital, and really kind of, make it bigger and better. But really, truly, to develop tools that we wanted ourselves, as athletes and coaches, right, that we just needed to expand. So that was kind of like the first big leap. Was like mid 2000s, and then we came up with, the second generation of Training Peaks, which we basically just, more or less kind of put to rest a few days ago.
Right.
So it's been these stages of growth as a business, and you kind of get to the next stage, and every new stage is uncomfortable and has risk with it. And we tend not to be, and when I say we, I mean my father and Gear Fisher, who's our CEO and one of our co-founders. We don't tend to be big risk takers in business, and so we kind of see a lot of the stars lining up, and then it's like, okay, it's a safe bet. So we kind of like pull the trigger and hire the folks it takes. And really, the thing that holds us back is having the right talent in house, having the right developers and people in house. Knock on wood, so far everything's going great. Continual steady growth, and we still see a lot more opportunity.
So, taking a slight detour, athlete, coach, web developer, businessman, what other priorities do you have, in life? You have this big job, this big company now. What other priorities do you have? You still ride your bike.
Yeah.
You have a family, is that right?
Yeah, definitely would love to ride my bike more. But definitely families first, and it's great to live the Colorado lifestyle is kind of like the number one goal, if you will,
Yeah.
Keep the lifestyle alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of skiing actually, especially this time of year, really coming into the ski season, and I've already got 12 days in, but I take that cycling mentality into skiing, and it's not just taking the lift uphill and ski down, it's actually, put your skins on and get to threshold heart rate and go uphill, and I'm on the slopes at 6 a.m. before the family wakes up, and skin to the top, ski down before breakfast, have breakfast, and then start skiing with the family.
Right.
So that's lots of fun right now. Certainly traveling with the family is a lot of fun. We've already planned out our Tour de France trip for next year. It starts in London, so my wife and daughter have never been to London, so it's kind of nice to mix the business and pleasure and family all together,
Right.
So that's been, definitely a big joy to definitely, again, like live the lifestyle and somehow have the business balance with the passion.
So you had said earlier, kind of one of the goals with Training Peaks was a little bit twofold. One, you saw a big need as a coach and as an athlete, and two, you needed something to do after cycling and after being a professional. What challenges did you come across trying to come up with this, either past or more recent, in trying to grow Training Peaks?
I guess I wasn't like a salesman prior to that. So certainly anything that you invent, you not only have to be the inventor, but you have to be the first salesman. Certainly had to be the first sales and support person, if you will, for the first few years. We were just tag teaming it, just Gear and I. So that was a struggle to balance that with the coaching business, because you're not getting paid full time yet.
Right.
It's sweat equity, and there's a lot of people that have been successful, but you got to pay your dues, along the way. And so, trying to like keep the momentum alive and the motivation and the dream alive that it can be successful, just like as an athlete. Right. Doing those 5-hour rides, during the cold winter months, is this all gonna pay off?
Right.
You know what I mean? You just have to like believe in it. You're not getting paid to do it.
Right.
And hopefully someday you win that race, get the big prize check, or eventually the pro contract.
Right.
So same parallel kind of mentality there, of just like believing in the overall dream. And just like as an athlete, I kind of thought of it as, baby steps, and consistency pays off. So same thing, that's how I was never like the most athletic. I never had like the best talent as an athlete, but tactically, I had a good sense, so tactics played a lot of, in it.
Sure.
And not just what my power readings were.
And you have very good racing tactics, because we've raced together a few times, so I've felt
It's
those.
fun. Sometimes it's good to be the old guy.
Yeah. That's interesting. Was there ever a time in this journey in building Training Peaks that you thought it wouldn't work, that you thought you'd fail?
No, I never. And I guess it's funny. I guess at the very, very beginning, I was actually starting to look for a job while we were also developing Training Peaks. And but yet my heart wasn't into it when I was on the interviews,
Right.
trying to find a job. And I guess that probably just meant it wasn't meant to be to get that job,
Right.
And I guess I was in a way kind of happy I wasn't hired, because my heart wasn't into like working for somebody else, and it was always about just self, just building something myself, so I never really had any sense of it wasn't going to fail. And I was happy when I wasn't hired by others, and it just forced the issue and made us actually dig in deeper to make it happen.
What do you think some of the, top 1 or 2 keys to overcoming some of these challenges, like you were saying, working a lot, being out of your comfort zone, and not getting paid and trying to make...
Well, one big thing I always say is hire people smarter than yourself. So that's certainly been true. You can't be a know-it-all and know everything.
Right.
Technology changes. Gear, our CEO, was the developer at the beginning, and now he hardly knows how to do anything within the code, right?
Right.
You know, and technology's gone beyond his capabilities, and we all realize that. And at one time, I was the chief marketing officer, and like, there's no way I can do that now.
Right.
You know, I just don't have the expertise to really hold that position. So yeah, it's a little uncomfortable to finally give up something that you've been the expert at.
Right.
You have to like swallow your pride, give it up, and move on to the next phase of the business, and actually, you know, start to really specialize.
Right.
So that was kind of difficult, you know, sometimes to give up roles that you used to play and love that you give up to other people.
That's a really good point. I've heard that before. You know, the really successful business people and athletes alike, they say you need people around you that are better than you.
Yeah.
You know, you need really smart, really great people around you to help you. It's just, you know, that support staff.
Yeah, and so we're here, you know, I'm here to help provide the environment for them to prosper and grow within their own careers. So hopefully we find the right people and we can put them in the right environment to allow them to just do what they love doing.
Right.
You know, and as collectively as a team, they'll rise, you know, as a team.
Yeah. Was there anything specifically from your athletic career that you learned that you brought to running this business or building Training Peaks?
Yeah, I think you got to believe in the dream. You have to create something that the team believes in. And I was certainly on teams that had no cohesion. There's no overall goal.
Mm-hmm.
It was just haphazard. But then I was certainly on, you know, some other teams where it just felt like, yeah, this is really meant to be, and you're kicking on all cylinders. And it was, you know, it wasn't about, you know, what you were getting paid, but yeah, as a team, you're really, really successful and just, you know, just go to battle for somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really, you know, I want to try and instill that here where people are willing to, you know, sacrifice, you know, in a sense for somebody else, to, you know, to make that project successful.
Yeah. Now that you've done this, Training Peaks is a very successful business. You guys were rated, I think it was last year, top 50 companies to work for.
Oh,
top
outside
20 companies
magazine.
to work for. Yeah. Now that you've done this, and you're here, is it what you had dreamt it would be? Is it what you expected it to be?
Yeah, you never rest on your laurels. I mean, I'm always, you know, what's in my head is, you know, always 3 to 5 years out where I want to be, you know, as a company. So yeah, it's definitely beyond the initial dreams of what we thought it would be at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But once it starts, you're always like trying to push the envelope, and you're always like, you're not satisfied, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm still not satisfied, but it's not money driven. It's just like, I know like what the product should look like 3 years from now.
Right.
And like, oh my God, that'd be so cool. And also, I mean, a decade ago, even up to like 2006, I was really frustrated. I'm like, man, we have this great software, but man, when is any Tour de France rider going to use our stuff? I can't believe we don't have a Tour de France team or something, you know what I mean? And now, you know, it's really cool, and like, that's a big dream of mine, realize that we are accepted and trusted by so many, not just cycling, but, you know, the Ironman champions, and we have, you know, Olympic teams throughout the world that literally run their programs, you know, through Training Peaks, and coaching businesses like yourself that literally, you know, run their business through our applications.
Yep.
So that's been, you know, really, that's a big sense of pride, knowing that, you know, we've brought that to fruition, and it's just been, yeah, really fun ride.
So, what is next for Training Peaks? Is there anything new in the works that you can fill us in on?
Well, we just launched our new beta application, web-based. We've launched all of our suite of products now, finally. Coming up, we'll release WKO Plus in the springtime. That'll be Mac and PC, so that's a long time coming. We just launched the website beta, so you have your choice between the beta and the classic version. But now we're in a great spot where we can release new features, you know, almost weekly now, and eventually we'll get enough of the functionality ported over to the new HTML5 application that we can turn the classic off. So look for that in the next 6 to 8 months, where we really bolster the new beta app.
Right.
And there'll be some great new features and reports coming out, on that. Yeah, and along with the new WKO Plus 4.0 that's being released, there'll be some great new science around that. And we're looking forward to the next generation of training stress score and cool new metrics that will be coming out. So again, that'll be applied. It tends to really start, at the highest levels of cycling, kind of trickles down from there, and what proves out in WKO tends to migrate to the web, just like training stress score, TSS, performance management chart. They all started in WKO and then they migrated to the web. So those will be exciting times ahead to see what new science proves out.
Yeah, that's always been great. All the new stuff. You guys definitely on the cutting edge of not only a science aspect, but then putting it in the hands of the user, which is super, very, very key. You can have the best idea, but if people can't use it and understand it, then it doesn't really work that much. Last question, in this whole journey that you've had, from the very beginning of the idea of Training Peaks and then building it out to what it is today, what unexpected things came about while you were doing this? Anything?
Knock on wood, nothing massive and huge. If you record a workout in 2003 or whatever, it's still there. So, I guess the hurdles along the way, moving, it's always hard to move locations, move offices and expand, finding office space and all that is like the side of business, which is not all that fun.
Right.
Luckily, we stumbled into this spot and it became just an asset of ours. Quite literally, it's a very creative place. We have a gym and great place to work out, and it's a very fun place to work. But I can't think of any huge, big problems or issues that we, really slowed us down or anything. Yeah.
But that was a great kind of story of Training Peaks and your past with athletics and how they kind of came together.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for being a customer, and
yeah,
thanks for having me.
definitely.
Great.